hello everybody, a warm welcome under the sunlight here at the Algarve. Fresh for another round, the first round here of the GTOpen Championship, and a very busy grid already. After what has to be said, an amazing qualifying session, and we're about to see the drivers hurtle through after a valiant display from Fernando Navarrete. Of course, we saw him earlier on, an amazing display in qualifying, and also the likes of Eugenio Pisani and Ivan Velasco. And we return here to Portimao, of course, the scene, of course, of the Algarve Grand Prix, as set in place by Formula One, a track that has been brought to the forefront of motorsport. And now it welcomes the first round here of the GTOpen since its opening back in 2008. And here in 2023, it holds the opening round here in this hellacious championship. We're going to be watching so many great names here, of course, beckoning here. Julian Darris back in the colourful street art racing car as well, getting set for yet another round here in the GTOpen. My name, of course, is George Morgan. Great to be with you here this afternoon, and joining me alongside me is Chris Stevens.
Hi, George. First racing action of the day, first racing action of the season for the GT Sport organisation, kicking things off with GT Cup Open. This, of course, the youngest sibling to the international GT Open for Pro-Am racers, and we have seen plenty rise up through the ranks of this championship into the main GT Open, and of course vice versa as well. But here are one of the cars that we've been talking so much about, the Ferrari 488 Challenge. First time Ferrari has been represented in this championship, and George, it was amazing to see the fact that they were on pace with the Porsches straight out of the box. Not something we get to see very often.
No, not at all. And having, you know, Ferrari here for the first time, obviously represented. There's David Perel, you can just see just walking towards the car. Obviously, he's alongside Stephen Earle here. And Stephen Earle, going off what you were saying as well, Chris, with drivers who obviously look to perhaps jump up into GT Open racing, but also some, you know, go into GT Cup racing. We see the likes of Stephen Earle now moving away from the International GT Open Championship as such, now adopting the Porsches and the Ferraris, of course, here this time with the Ferrari Challenge with Kessel Racing, and has a valiant and brilliant teammate, very experienced David Perel as well, who's also heavily involved in sim racing too. But great to see them making these steps as well. There's Paolo Pinerino as well. We saw him as well taking some fast purple sectors earlier on too. Very competitive driver on his day, and in the AM category, in the AMs, they did not disgrace themselves at all in qualifying. They
certainly did not. Look, we've got two AM cars on the second row of the grid, very much mixing it up with the Pro-Am runners. And of course, there are still a couple of question marks over how the Ferrari is going to perform in the race. This, of course, a 50-minute race. They're used to running these things in a 30-minute Ferrari Challenge race, and they're not used to running them on the Michelin rubber as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they perform in one of these longer races, because they're not designed really for even the endurance stuff. The 992 Cup car, at least, does even have its own class in the NLS endurance series as well. So they're used to running for a long period of time, not so much with the Ferrari.
No, not at all. There's Ivan Velasco, who's going to be starting on the front row with Myrtle Motorsport, and thumbs up there for sure as Ferrari deliver a great, promising debut. As well, in behind, we have got Fernando Navarrete, who certainly did glow in qualifying earlier on, and now starting from P3. Obviously, will look to be getting a better result than this when he goes racing, and certainly puts foot to the floor when all the lights go out and head down towards turn one. Obviously, he has a Porsche right next to him as well. This is Gianluca Di Lorenzi, who's lining up in fourth in the car number 67. A thumbs up there from him. You know, you get those last-minute nerves here at this point as well, don't you, Chris? Obviously, when you're on the grid, you're looking at turn one. This is another car that impressed us as well. Evgeny Leonov, of course, representing the Pro-Am. Thumbs up from him. This car certainly delivered a sensational effort in qualifying.
Certainly did. GT racing debut for this team, and indeed this driver, I believe, as well. So they've certainly been very impressive, moving up from the TCR clan. There's Davide Scanaccio for ZRS, and it's interesting seeing these 992 Porsches that have, you know, dominated the field for so many years in this championship. Top one of them is in fourth, because the Porsche on the front row is the older 991.2.
Yeah, certainly is, and more thumbs up as well, as we now await, obviously, for the drivers to make their way down towards turn one. Here's another Ferrari as well, this one belonging to Michael Boschez, And they're going to be looking to set sail as well and hopefully get a big result under their belt, representing the Kessel Racing fraternity that, of course, have had multiple interests in the International GTOpen and now this year the GT Cup Open as well. Also joined by car 77, Ori Alayaira as well, who's now on the grid too, P9. Lining up ready to get things underway. Very much played brilliantly in qualifying his capabilities. Myrtle Motorsport, of course, is looked after by Mario. He is the team boss, team principal, and he was very positive about the effects that the team have delivered, certainly with the Ferrari now being part of the GT Cup Europe. And he made a point to say as well that it's not necessarily the first car you'd expect to see over this length of distance, certainly in this conglomerate of car. Generally seen, and I know you mentioned this as well, Chris, was that you mainly see them in sprint circumstances, obviously over 30 minutes. This is a 50-minute race. Vastly different.
It really is, and we're going to see how the tyres hold up as well. Because, as we mentioned, they're used to running on Pirelli rubber rather than the Michelins that we use here in the GT Cup.
Yeah, well, certainly we can see the Mertel cars, they're making their way around. Obviously, they're currently tied together, P3 and 4. Fernando Navarrete in third with Gianluca Di Lorenzi in fourth place, and they'll no doubt be looking to up their progressions. There's Evgeny Leonov just making his way through, obviously through towards the very, very tight turn 13, where you turn back on yourself to tee up the run through Sagre and then through the Gulp corner at turn 15. This track layout, of course, folks, 15 turns await the drivers. The Grand Prix circuit layout that has existed since 2008 in its inception, with a 4.653 kilometre circuit, 2.891 miles. It's the 5th running of the GT Cup Open Championship, of course, here in 2023, and we're going to go racing in the 25th anniversary year of the GT Sport organisation. Of course, CEO Jesus Pereira and the team, everyone working oh so hard to bring racing to the forefront here, and certainly the GT Cup Open is about to get underway in grandiose circumstances here under the sunlight. There you can see Pisani and Ivan Velasco, Navarrete in behind as well. The two Ferraris looking to try and get a good, well-placed position as the pace car now makes its way into the pit lane. And for the first time in 2023, we'll certainly put pedal to the metal, and we will certainly, I would say, at this point, go, 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 go. And then we see them all sort themselves out already nearly a 3 wide, as we're now entering Navarrete and Gianluca Di Lorenzi as well in the mix. Pisani in trouble as he makes his way down through towards the inside. Plenty of other cars in the mix. Velasco as well. What about Lorenzi? He's down to 4th. Navarrete as well, trying to get himself into the mix. A tail-happy Porsche at the front, but still nonetheless a clean start, Chris.
Absolutely, and using that extra power from the 992 Porsche to jump both of the cars from the front row of the grid. So a cracking start there and a spinner there for number 77. That is the EST1 Racing Porsche, Yuri Alayaira.
Yeah, Yuri Alayaira certainly not happy with that one. We got a yellow flag at turn 4, and another one's gone off, and that's car number 45. That, of course, as well, that I believe is in belonging to. That's actually a Porsche that has actually come into for a war out of Tora VIP. Of course, we've seen moments come like that previously, where you can oversteer so easily. If you dip too far into the gravel, you can spin.
Yeah, Paolo Pinero there, just a little ambition over adhesion there, I think is the term they use, and having a little rotation. Now see here, yeah, because we've had, in the middle of all that, Pisani has regained the lead out of all that, and it's Fernando Navarrete that has got into 2nd place, Di Lorenzo down in 3rd.
Yeah, not ideal at all. Pinero now propping up the order alongside Alayaira, but still Pisani leads. Navarrete in 2nd, Di Lorenzi in 3rd. Good start so far for the Myrtle Motorsport, having 2 cars currently in the top 3, and they're both currently leading the AM contingent. First sector, the fastest for Gianluca Di Lorenzi. Of course, this is only the opening lap, folks. Don't get too excited just yet. We've still got a long way to go, 48 minutes. And we're seeing Velasco now down 2 places as a result of that start. Not an ideal one at all. A flash of the lights there. A little twinkle there from Navarrete as he makes his way through turn 1. A little better down the inside, though, as we're seeing. I think Velasco has actually gained a couple of places. That's interesting. Obviously, we've seen the Ferraris now coming into the forefront. Navarrete still in 2nd, but now coming under pressure from a Porsche.
Certainly is. Number 80 there of Velasco putting the pressure on the 3rd place car as well, down towards the hairpin at turn 5, and the Porsche's weaving about, trying to make a defensive move. Velasco to the outside. He'll not run all the way around the outside there, I don't think. And now he's got to be careful and watch his mirrors for Bachez in the Volcano car as well.
Yeah, De Lorenzi, who's currently sat in third, is under a little bit of pressure. Velasco getting closer and closer, obviously losing out on 2 places further down. Bachez, you can just see him tying up with Scanicchio there as we watch Van Durendonk make his way through as well. Over the crest they go, and car number 80 belonging to Velasco now starting to draw closer and closer to Gianluca De Lorenzi.
Yeah, it's Leonov in the Volcano car, my apologies, and now he's looking for that outside line to try and get the drive here on the Ferrari out of the corner, and it's worked. He's drawn just a whisker of an overlap there. He's really mounted the pressure on this Ferrari and now looking towards the inside. Can't make it work there though, but he is hounding the back of this thing.
Yeah, the switchback very nearly coming fruitful there for Leonov, who tried it heading through turn 13 and very soon 14 as well. They got Galt corner to come. Obviously the straight line speed, we did mention it, favouring that of the Ferrari, but look at Navarrete, who has got closer and closer to Eugenio Pisani, and that first place is no longer feeling as easy or simple as what it was before. And we all know the straight line speed of the Ferrari as Pisani drags him to the inside, tries to defend the inside line as they come through towards turn 1, but Navarrete, as they make their way towards the Primera corner, is he going to open up the door? Is he going to make the move? He switches back. Brilliant effort here. Certainly a great battle between 2 brilliant drivers, but still, it is Navarrete staying in second place. Pisani holding on to the lead.
Yeah, just about. So he was actually ahead of him over the timing line by only a couple of hundredths. And of course, this for the overall lead, but between a Pro-Am and an Am car, as they head down towards turn 5 once again, and Navarrete still just having to follow in the wheel tracks of that Porsche.
Oh, yes, and a lovely daring move there from what looks to be, well, we have Gianluca De Lorenzi, now Velasco taking up the running here. What an incredible move, heading down through Torre Vip, and now once again we've got Navarrete and Pisani coming together up at the front end as well. Again, a carbon copy of what we saw in the previous lap as we now hit the 45-minute mark.
Yeah, Velasco was a little bit hip and shoulder there, had to get his elbows out to complete the move. Actually, I think we can see the remnants of a little bit of contact there on the exit of turn 5 on the front left side of that silver Porsche. Yeah, as you say, for the lead, it's looking very tight again, and then these 3 cars squabbling over the last spot on the podium.
Yeah, Leonov making ground as well. He's actually overtaken De Lorenzi, who's now dropped a place as well. So great moves there from Ivan Velasco, who's now up into 3rd place, and now Navarrete closing up this time off Pisani, and he'll have the straight line speed. If he can get a good exit heading out of the Galt corner, that could tee up yet another move. He might yet try Pisani again, and he knows this is where the Ferrari's best. Down along straight, if he can get the full car ahead of the Porsche before turn 1, that will be advantageous. Easier said than done, though, as they make their way down this said straight in towards the right-hander at Primera. There you can see the Ferrari getting closer and closer, not quite able to execute. Just look at the gap that has been drawn out between P2 and P3. Velasco down.
At this point, do they want to try and extend the gap so they can pull away from these guys and then squabble it out later in the race? Because as you rightly said, George, they're pulling clear, currently 2.3 seconds ahead of that battle for 3rd place. So if they can keep it neat and tidy, they can pull a gap. But Navarrete is not having any of it though. He's going for the lead down the inside into turn 5. Pisani will try and get the undercut and retakes it. They're going to go side by side here. Navarrete will have the line into the next right-hander, I think, and should be able to consolidate this move and now go for the lead. He has, he's secured it.
Yeah, he certainly has, and brilliant move from Navarrete there to pull that move off against Eugenio Pisani. Ivan Velasco now down into 3rd place and holding on to that position as well. The gap's still drawing outwards, but Navarrete with a superb move there on Eugenio Pisani, who's now been relegated back, but a cut down to the inside as he threatens yet another exquisite move to try and take back the position. Not content with holding on to 2nd, he wants 1st place back as Navarrete now takes them through. This is the replay from the start, getting us underway here. You can just see there in the back of picture, Navarrete in 3rd place. Of course, on the front row was that of Ivan Velasco, who would come out with 2 places down. They went 3 wide, very nearly 4 wide, in fact, if you counted Eugenio Pisani into the mix. But just have a look at that run at the outside from that of Gianluca De Lorenzi. Now, he would lose out massively later on. Of course, there's Van Durendonk making his way out, and there's the incident. That's involving car 77, Yuri Alaira, who went off for EST1. And then we saw yet another Spinala. Of course, that was heading through the Tora VIP section, and that was unfortunately Paolo Pinheiro.
Yeah, so that's the contact that led to the lead change. We were focusing on the spinning car, but Pisani absolutely sent out the inside and rather barged Di Lorenzi out of the way there. And of course, he plummeted like a stone after that. And there is Pisani getting the lead back again. But of course, now Navarrete leads his lead gap almost half a second now.
It certainly is, as we're now watching the cars make their way down through this next straight. Certainly now Navarrete with the chance here as they make their way through Tora VIP. And we see more battles further down as well. Further down, car number 57 belonging to Nicolas van Dierendonck. And who's currently up 5 places, had a wonderful start to the race. And further on then is Mikael Boschez, who currently sits in 6th, chasing after Gianluca Di Lorenzi, 2.9 seconds. And a reminder set out by race control to the drivers that flashing is not allowed. And we have seen a couple of twinkles there, so already race control getting just sort of policing the field so far. A couple of warnings issued as well for track limits, but still nonetheless, we go racing. Car number 52, that being Van der Velde. Laurent Van der Velde now making his way through this next left. Make their way through a lock-up there as well. Further up, that was Scanicio.
We've got the 2 Q1 cars here about to do battle. And now, how do you play this as your teammate, especially when you've got a car right up in front of you as well? But there he goes, trying to get up the inside into this final corner here. And will he allow his teammate to go through as well as Van Dierendonck? And he gets the tail wagging just a little bit, but he does secure the move, runs out a little bit wide now. Is that going to allow Van der Velde to go through? It does. Yeah, Van der Velde taking the opportunity as it came out, crosses the line now into 7th place. Van Dierendonck down to 8th. Tincescu now going ahead of Scanicio, who is dropping place after place. He's lost 3 places. Has he got a problem? I was definitely unsettled by the initial move from Van Dierendonck, so I wonder if he's just lost momentum there with that. We'll see how he goes now. Pisani now coming under pressure from another Ferrari, this time the number 80 of Velasco. And he's seen enough Ferrari in his mirrors for one race, I think. Well, Myrtle Motorsport have had a great start. Obviously, we saw Navarrete at the top end as we made our way through qualifying. We saw his eclectic pace. It was absolutely tremendous. Pisani, though, obviously taking the pole advantage heading into the race. Obviously, after the adjudication process, Velasco now in 3rd as well as they make their way down through the initial stint. 39 minutes and 45 now to go as we've timed it. Leonov down in 4th as well, 1.4 away from Velasco in 3rd. Velasco obviously looking to try and gain a Myrtle Motorsport 1-2, at least in this initial. Don't forget, we will have the driver change period opening up later on. And that will be over a stint, obviously, when we hit the halfway mark, and then it'll be forced for some of these drivers to then make the necessary changes. Of course, for Navarrete, Stefano Bozzoni is going to be making his way into the car. And let's see if he can deliver the same pace. Well, of course, the important thing here is we've got an AM car in the lead, but Pro-Am cars, the next 3 behind him, and theoretically, they should be quicker over the course of the race. So let's see how that pans out. But it could well be that number 19 sort of slips back after the pit stop. Yeah, there's Ivan Velasco now crossing the line. The gap now set at 3, well, just over 4 3/4 tenths, and nearly 5 tenths in fact, but still putting the pressure on Velasco. Leonov down 1 second as well in behind those, with Di Lorenzi in 5th, Boschez in 6th, Van der Velde in 7th, Van Dierendonck still in 8th, with Tincescu in 9th. Scanicio is still in 10th place. Glauco Solieri just behind him now, 2 tenths away. In fact, Solieri might fancy a move into the top 10 too. Every point matters, folks, with the championship on the line. Obviously, both the Pro-Am and the Am being contested as we now watch the cars make their way through Tora VIP. It's Pisani there in 2nd. 4 tenths behind there is Velasco, obviously getting closer and closer all the time. The interesting thing to see, obviously, referencing that the fact that Ferrari don't necessarily see them going 50 minutes like in other races. The fact that we've got them now essentially here on display here in the Cup cars. How are they going to fare towards the end of the race, Chris? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Of course, they're not used to running on the Michelin rubber, so maybe they're not quite able to utilize it over the course of the race as well as the other teams that are more experienced with the Porsches, especially in this championship. And I can't imagine there's too much fundamentally within the car that's going to stop it running for 50 minutes. At the end of the day, it's only 20 minutes longer than what they're used to running. but it could well make a big difference. Of course, we did see the car that is currently in the lead leaking coolant in the qualifying, but that was more to do with the fact that they had to replace the part on the car in a hurry overnight or this morning.
Well, I can tell you this now, that Eugenio Pisani has been handed a reprimand by the race director after forcing Ivan Velasco off track.
That'll be for the start of the lap 1 incident, and well, now he's going to have to get his elbows out here as well, because Velasco is coming for second place. He won't outbrake him on the outside into turn 1, so he'll do what Navarrete did and try and undercut him, but can't get the momentum here. Looks to the outside once again, really pushing the track limits there, but no way through on Pisani just yet. And of course, Leonov looking to join the fight as well.
He hasn't taken long to actually join the mix, and certainly you can just see him there using all the curb there as well. We've got a replay, and this is Dr. Stephen Earle in the midst of all this. Oh, a snap there. Must be a snap of steering.
It was contact with the car ahead, so the car ahead went wide. Stephen Earle tried to get underneath him and sort of met in the middle there, and that spun him round.
Yeah, not ideal at all. Dr. Stephen Earle now at P15, and he's going to have to look to recover now. There is Leonov making his way through the next straight. Now that 1 second gap is already, by default, obviously with the fight going on further up, has come down to 0.4 of a second, so it could open up a chance here for Leonov to maybe put the pressure on Velasco. Oh, here we go, a move now down the inside for car number 45, Paolo Pinheiro, who obviously came unstuck earlier on, has now moved up a place, recovering this time at the expense of Fabiani.
Yeah, I mean, that was textbook, wasn't it? Just down the inside, and simple block pass there, getting past one of the older Porsches, I believe, there, and he's got a 992 ahead of him as well. And now this is, I mean, it's a symphony of flat sixes when you have the GT Cup Open out and about. That's why I love watching it. And oh, now going for another move here, right around the outside of number 78.
Yeah, Davide Scanicchio has obviously lost quite a number of places now, forfeiting yet another one this time. Obviously that going to Paolo Pinheiro on this occasion, who has made such advanced strides, and now it's queued up here for Fabio Fabiani to have a go here at this point as well, heading through this next straight there. We could see them all in tandem, and again Scanicchio running out wide. I do wonder if he's got an issue out there, Chris.
Potentially. I mean, he still seems to be going at a decent pace at the moment, not dropping like a stone just yet, but could well be the early stages of something bigger. Now here's some more Porsche v Ferrari. Thought we were only going to get that in the WEC this year. No, we've got it in the GT Cup Open.
Very competitive too. Boschez now under pressure from Laurent van der Velde, who now looks to make the big moves here, heading down towards Torre Vip, and not quite able to pull it off. Inside line defended immediately there by Boschez, who now makes his way through Torre Vip. And they're not alone either. This is the replay, and this was the very dynamic move of Paolo Pinheiro on Fabio Fabiani, pulling it off superbly as well. And fast forward to Michael Boschez and Laurent van der Velde through Torre Vip as well. Such a prominent position or prominent place to make those kinds of overtakes. And we've seen it quite a few times already now on this occasion. Pisani, though, just look at the gap between Navarrete and Pisani, 3.3 seconds. That gap has certainly curtailed out onwards and onwards, and certainly Velasco now 4/10 behind might have an opportunity. Leonov backing off again a little more. His gap now back out to a second.
Yep, looking a little more comfortable out there now. As no, was that a little bit wide for both cars there, and the second Q1 car wants to get involved in the action as well. But for now, Michael Boschez just fending off these two Q1 Porsches.
Absolutely right. Heading down the next straight. Oh, chance here now for Velasco, who once again goes hunting, this time on Eugenio Pisani. Outside line into turn 1. Can he make the move? Can he prime it as they make their way through turns 2 and very shortly turn 3 as well? Still no move here for certainly Velasco to pull something out of the bag here. Right in behind there of Pisani, but Pisani, every time Velasco goes hunting, he has got the remedy for the move. Sensational effort from Pisani to hold on to P2.
Yeah, doing a cracking job. This, of course, for the Pro-Am lead as well. Second place overall. Oh, now has Pisani just gone a little bit wide there into the hairpin? He has. He's tagged out the back end of that Porsche. Is this the opportunity for Velasco to finally get up the inside? I don't think it will be, because Pisani will have the line into the next right-hander. It doesn't matter, because Velasco has gone right round the outside.
Superb display of that straight line speed on that Ferrari. Opened up the throttle and powered through past that of Eugenio Pisani, who has now obviously come off the back of that one a little bit out of sorts. And he's going to look to try and come forward again, but nevertheless, Velasco, what a sensational move. Very well executed in the middle. Motorsport team will be delighted to see that two of their cars are now topping the timing screens. Fernando Navarrete out in front, 5 seconds clear of teammate Ivan Velasco.
Yeah, 5 seconds clear, but currently with a warning flag for track limit, so he's really going to have to keep that in check. And this was the moment. So Pisani's gone very, very deep into the hairpin, gets the back end out on the exit for good measure as well, and well, Velasco needed no second invitation.
No, not at all. It's very, very tightly contested up at the top end. We've got some twists in the tail here as well, as we're now watching the cars make their way through. This, of course, belonging to that of Mikael Boschez, who's got Laurent van der Velde right behind him here. Not only that, they've got Van Dierendonk, who's also primed and ready to attack too. The Q1 track cars certainly looking to try and get themselves into the mix too. Of course, defending champions here this season, and he might fancy a run this time at Van der Velde as they head down through now towards turn one. You can just see there, side by side, near enough between the Porsches. They switch back again as Van der Velde and Van Dierendonk come together, still defending to the inside, not able to make the move here at all is Van Dierendonk. He's going to be a little bit more patient, but as they head through turns 2 and turns 3, he might fancy a send through the inside. No, not quite, shutting the door off there, but you've got to credit Van Dierendonk looking for those overtakes. A little look down the inside of the Ferrari. That was a close one.
And of course, Tincescu right on the back of this as well, going to try and get into the action. Got 4 cars here battling over 6th place, and for now, Boschez is doing a cracking job at holding that back, and now Pisani has got more cars in his mirrors. This time, Evgeny Leonov in the Volcano Motorsports 992 car, so theoretically that should be a quicker car. But Volcano now, wow, if they can come away with the podium on their GT racing debut, that would be something.
Well, I alluded to the eruption earlier on. There could well be one here at Portimao, as we now see them make their way through towards the next left. Very soon the Sagre corner heading out of turn 13, as we now see them all queuing up here. Of course, Velasco still nursing that deficit. 3/10, he's brought that in now, closer to Navarrete. So whether he can bring it much closer to challenge for the lead or the win is certainly another case, but obviously we've got a long way to go, half an hour still to run here in the GT Cup Open. And have a look at this from Evgeny Leonov, who has every chance now to certainly unsettle the fellow Porsche of Eugenio Pisani, and Pisani knows it, pulls him into the center of the track now as well as they venture down towards turn 1. And look at this, Leonov instantly trying to deflect it by going around the outside as they make their way through now the first corner here on this next lap. But the outside line for the Volcano, there's been an eruption at least anyway, as they head through turns 2 and 3, and Pisani getting a little out of shape on exit out of turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, so everybody else at turn 1 has gone to the outside and then cut back at the apex to try and get the line into the next right-hander. That's not what Leonov thought to do. He thought, I'm going to try and get it right around the outside, and ended up a little hip-in shoulder. But it's fine, because they both survived. And, I was going to say brake check there, but it wasn't quite. I think Pisani's just really struggling with the back end of that older generation Porsche, and it's really inviting Leonov here to get past him. And of course, remember, Leonov is driving by himself. He doesn't have a driver to hand over to in the pit stop as well, so he'll be in this car for the whole race.
Yeah, Evgeny Leonov looking ever present there, right in behind that of Pisani, was just giving him a little tap of encouragement on the outside of Torabit. This was the moment. Of course, heading through Torabit now, and just see him just kiss the car, and a little movement, a little wobble.
Yeah, so it was because the brake lights were still on when what it looked like should be the exit of the corner, just making me think that he's really struggling with the back end, and it was stepping out a little bit, and he was trying to balance the car on the brakes there, and that's why the Volcano car almost ended up kind of running into the back of it.
Yeah, great racing though here at Portimao. The perfect way to get a championship started out here as well, as we now see more fighting happening further down the road. This is of course the fight between Van der Velde and Mikael Boschez. Now this has been developing over quite some time. And further back as well, we've obviously seen that of Nicolas van Dierendonck also coming into the mix. And look at that exit speed from van Dierendonck as into the pits comes Michael Boschez. So the driver change now on, and at least now we've got the change window open for 6 minutes and 45. So now will be the time. So do they decide to come in early or do they decide to come in late? Navarrete has decided to continue. He's not content with stopping now, but Alexandre Boschez will step in place of Michael Boschez in this driver swap.
Yeah, and of course in 52 as well, we'll have Zander Prispilak taking over as well from Van der Velde. So these are the first competitive pit stops of the season, and there we see the driver change there for 69. They'll be on the stopwatch there, making sure they're not infringing any rules there. Just a track limits update. There was a last warning that went out to our race leader, Fernando Navarrete. So, well, my understanding of that is, to do it once more, we're going to hand you a penalty. There's plenty of these warnings coming in. Yeah,
lots of them coming in. David Perrell now will be stepping in for Dr. Stephen Earle, who is now seeing his car come into the pits as well. Just saw it in picture. And of course, we got Fabio Babini as well, making his statement here as well by taking part in this championship. A relentless character, certainly has been at the focal point of GT3 racing for quite some time. A legend, many would say as well, and has certainly done it. He's seen it and done it across many platforms too, as we're now seeing more and more cars come into the pits. It certainly is the optimum moment for a change. 26 and 20 still to go. Change window fully on, and it will be for at least the next 5 minutes.
Yep, so that Q1 GT4 Porsche was running second in class. Definitely Julian Darras in the Street Art Aston Martin GT4 car, very much dominating that class at the moment, as we've got more cars into the pits. Number 18, Ferrari, so Velasco handing over the car now.
That's the Jorge Cabezas who's stepping in.
Volcano car in as well.
Yeah, they're all coming in now to make their changes. Evgeny Leonov obviously stepping in too. Now, some drivers will obviously go the distance. Leonov is one of them. And he'll be looking to try and enlist a fast time. Let's see what Fernando Navarrete does, because obviously trying to set as many positive delta laps as he can, obviously to try and obviously give himself a little buffer for when the pit stop phase comes in. Paulo Pinheiro comes in. Pedro Moreiros now steps into the car as well, getting strapped in. I think Paulo Pinheiro, will be a little aggrieved, especially after the incident that happened on the opening lap. We've got news as well. Car number 11, 5 seconds time penalty added to the race time for abusing track limits.
Yeah, so that's Stefano Zerbi in the SP Racing Porsche. So that was Fabio Fabiani that I think was getting those penalties, and he's maybe come out on his first lap and done one and ended up with a penalty for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to be careful. Obviously, track limits being policed here by the race directors and the stewards. As we now see the 007 Street Art Racing Aston Martin now getting set for a change itself. Jay and Faisal Karim, of course, we've seen Jahid Faisal Karim in the past here, of course, racing at Street Art as well. And now it's the turn of his son to step up and race here in the GT Cup Open with 25 minutes to go, or 24 and a half if you're picky. Fernando Navarrete still out on track, and he'll be coming in very, very soon, I'm sure, because he will have to make a change, and step in does Stefano Brazzoni when he comes in. So we've got more Porsches now in the pits, including that of Porsche number 45, that being Paulo Pinheiro, now stepping out for Pedro Moreiros, who's now out on track as well. But it's been an action-packed start of this race, as now we're seeing more and more coming in by the moment in their droves as well. Castillo will be stepping into this one, obviously replacing Nicolas van Dierendonck. That's Fidel Castillo, who now steps in as his replacement.
Yeah, the driver from Spain there, joins from karting, I believe. Has a season of Italian GT under his belt as well, I think. But yeah, very much in the early stages of his GT racing career is Fidel Castillo.
Yeah, coming into a very competitive GT Cup Open series, though. Navarrete will be looking to stop very, very soon, I'm sure. The driver change window coming down now to the final 2 minutes, very near enough anyway. As car number 77 comes in, Jaska will be jumping into this one. Of course, that's Indrik Jaska in taking over from Yori Alaira, who of course had an issue earlier on as well. But into the pits, driver changes foot in full swing now. Does Navarrete choose to stop now? He could do one more lap if he so wishes, but he'd be cutting it very fine. Let's keep our eyes peeled on the Ferrari driver. Indeed, he is going to go out for one more lap. So we've got Prisbillac as well, down in 6th as well. Boschez down in 7th. In comes now Pisani's car too. So this was the car that was fighting with Navarrete earlier on. Of course, Pisani led the race, and he's going to be getting way, or making way, for Stefano Zanini.
So still no sign yet of a move yet from our race leader. About 12 seconds to the good, near enough.
Very well executed game plan if he can keep this up, obviously. I mean, when the driver change window, they are obviously handicapped to ensure that they stop for a certain amount of time. So obviously Zanini's got to serve that buffer. David Perrell also tried to recover the deficit too, because remember, obviously Stephen Earle had a spin earlier on as well when coming into contact. But here comes Fernando Navarrete. Now this is the point where you'd expect him to come into the pits, because we're coming down now to the final 50 seconds, 49 seconds in fact now. So it's all on this lap. Navarrete needs to bring it in. He's going to be under convincing pressure, but let's see how that 12-second buffer, or 11.8-second buffer, is going to help him when the pit stop unfolds.
Yeah, so Navarrete's been so fast that they just want to leave this to the absolute last possible moment to do the driver change. And I mean, they are kind of cutting it fine here, but as long as he's in the pit lane when that timer at the top of the screen gets to 21 minutes, then we'll be fine. But, well, 15 seconds to go. This is going to be quite nip and tuck, George, I think, for this. So 7 seconds. Is he actually going to get into the pit lane in time? Have they just miscalculated this?
There's a chance. I mean, the end of the change now. It's the end of change. It literally ended as he came in, so I'm not sure what that's going to do. So the driver change has officially ended. Now, is Navarrete in trouble here? Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what the stewards have to say about it, but this is a very interesting turn of events. Jorge Cabezas is currently in 2nd place as well, and he's a very quick driver to bring to the forefront. Navarrete now stepping out. The driver change is on the cards. Out steps Navarrete. Stefano Bozzoni now making his way into the driving seat. Goodness me, a very bold move by Myrtle Motorsport. They cut it extremely fine.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously wanted to keep Navarrete out there as long as they possibly could. Such was his pace, but it seems like they've got it wrong. And for my money, I think they've missed the mark. Now we've got yellow flags at turn 3, and this could well be why. The Q1 car, Fidel Castillo, looping the Porsche round at turn 3.
Yeah, Castillo there just getting undone slightly. Just, I think, a little bit of the rear end just got away from him heading through turn 3. And unfortunately, he's been undone there in the first sector. But still, plenty of time for some twists in the turns. There is the Myrtle Motorsport Ferrari. Now, where is Jorge Cabezas going to come out in all this? What's the gap going to be? It is cascading downwards as we speak. We can see the cars coming down in the distance now and through. We can see there a Ferrari, no less. That, of course, being the we've got currently, as far as I can see, Jorge Cabezas. He is through, and Evgeny Leonov is through as well. Incredible scenes here. Stefano Zanini now out in 4th as well. And here comes the 44 car. This is Zanini, who in fact had a spin too. We've seen a few of those now this race.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, it's coming out on cold tyres. Now handicaps under investigation as well. So somebody's maybe not done the amount of time stationary that they were supposed to.
Yeah, Jorge Cabezas now leading the charge. This is the other Myrtle Motorsport Ferrari that's now taken up the running. I mean, regardless, they've got a Ferrari out on top, but the big question is, can Bozzoni hold on to P2? Of course, Navarrete delivering the pace in qualifying, and at the start of this stint, managing to extract such a lead that would give him a huge buffer heading into the pits, but we could see that might be, well, certainly might be being looked at very, very soon. Zanini now down to 7th. You can see the updates on our timing screen. Prisbillac having a great run as well, up into 4th place with Boschez down into 5th. Also got Borghi ahead of Zanini as well now, as we see the cars now venture through. This is, of course, the treble one. That's David Perrell, who's stepping into the GT Cup Open as well. Very experienced in GT racing. as I said, also has a major hand in sim racing as well. And, chasing his way down through towards the Tour a bit further down. You can see there Fidel Castillo, who of course had his moments earlier on as well, as dropped down the field. So not necessarily in that contention right now. There's Leonov, Evgeny Leonov, who's obviously going the full stint on his lonesome here this race. It only has 17 3/4 to go, and he could be on the cusp of getting himself a podium, and has gone ahead of Bozzoni as well.
Yeah, so on that lap, he's taken second place away from Bozzoni. Of course, was the race-leading car. Now look at this. This is for the GT4 lead. Down the inside goes the Q1 Porsche. Takes it away from Fazel Karim, who's obviously taken over from their driving coach Darren.
Yeah, certainly has, and certainly Jahid Faisal Karim will be watching on, I'm sure, with delight as his son now moves his way, or certainly in the mix. Well, certainly he fell behind on that occasion. Mello getting the upper hand on him on that occasion, and now takes P15. But great to see Jay and Faisal Karim in the race here. Babini also up to 9th, Solieri down to 10th, as we now see the cars sort themselves out. Bozzoni, who we're currently seeing on screen, of course Navarrete doing the initial stint. It's all on Bozzoni now to try and bring it home, but now obviously coming under convincing attack here with Prisbilak. Zanini now down to P6 as Bochez goes into 5th. And we got a warning warning flag for car 16 for track limits at turn 1 and 4. So that is actually Evgeny Leonov, who is having a little bit of fun with track limits here at this point, with 16.5 minutes to go. And there we can see now, obviously the car of Bozzoni making its way through this next left at turn 13.
Yep, currently got 15 seconds or so. Oh, well, that gap's just come down, actually. So Zanini there is 14 seconds behind the podium. So try and cut that down in the next 16 minutes or so. But I would say Bozzoni is maybe relatively safe for a podium there.
Yeah, absolutely. Leonov, who we're currently seeing on our screens, second place. Trying to chase after Jorge Cabezas at the moment.
In a race of his own here, though, really?
Yeah, at the moment. I mean, Cabezas is a very talented driver and is now taking up the helm at Myrtle Motorsport alongside that of Ivan Velasco in this instance. And the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo will now be making its way with just under 15.5 minutes left to potentially take their first win of the season. But Leonov could still bring it closer. Obviously has some experience now running around this Portimao circuit, and obviously this is where, if you're driving solo and if you have a driver change, this is where you outweigh your stamina test with obviously knowledge around the circuit as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back in my head how long TCR races are. I don't think they're 50 minutes. So this is, we were talking about how it's a venture for the Ferraris to be running this long. It's a venture for Leonov to be running this long as well. Although, that being said, they have raced in the Endurance TCR Championship in Spain. So this maybe isn't anything too alien for him.
No, not at all. We got a replay here as well. This is the move between Fabio Babini and Stefano Borghi. Babini getting the upper hand on this occasion, so the driver change working out very well for them, and managing to extract the best results they could in that instance. We got a puncture. Now that is the treble one Kessel Racing car, David Perrell, because he swapped in for Dr. Stephen Earle, and that will certainly drag them back through the field. They're going to have to get it changed now. The wheel gun out as they look to change the tyre, and that effectively puts him at great risk, because we've got Indrek Yaska out on track, Mello in 15th, not to mention Jay and Faisal Karim and Stefano Zerbi, quite a few laps behind though from David Perrell, those 4 drivers, but still in the mix, and this certainly won't help David Perrell as Indrek Yaska now jumps in for 13th place.
A message on our timing screen: team managers of car 19, that's the 3rd place car, and car 80, the leading car, to report to race control immediately. So 90, we talked about them cutting it very, very close with the driver change, actually getting into the pit lane, and maybe the sister cars fallen afoul of maybe the handicap rule as well.
Well, look at Babini here now. I tell you what, roaming up here on Camel Perry, and this is the battle for 7th place as he goes down the inside into turn 1. Babini! Brilliant move there from Fabio Babini. Moves his way now further up the order ahead of his predecessor, and now he could certainly enjoy that one. 7th place, Camel Perry, and down to 8th.
Some confidence on the brakes from Babini. Wasn't even that close to him, really, but yeah, got it done. Very nicely done.
Yeah, brilliant move, and opened up the door heading through that first corner at Primera, and it just made life easier when you head through the Lagos corner before then venturing through Tora Vip, as they have done now. They've got the rise up through towards the Samsung right-hander, very tricky section. Of course, you want to be careful on the brakes when you whip through that next right. Oh, right, okay. Car number 67, Stefano Borghi, off the track. The hazards are flashing. That looks like an issue. And look at this swarm happening in the midfield, as we're seeing the Street Art car in the midst of all this. Obviously, that's a trophy car in the balance there. Oh, wow, okay. Well, that's Stefano Borghi. Car 12 was Glauco Solieri. Some very dangerous movements out there on circuit, obviously. Fortunate not to pick anyone else up, but hopefully he can get himself back underway, as we can see the squabble happening here between Zander Prisbilac and Stefano Zanini. The gap now well within 0.8 of a second, and dropping lower and lower all the time as well. As they send it down this long straight, could be another chance here as they make their way down to this sector now. Car number 52 belonging to Prisbilac now, having a little look down the inside into turn 1. Going defensive here this time, Stefano Zanini. Very, very sensible racing here, and Prisbilac looks like he might be eyeing up a move heading through turn 3. Very smart. Oh, look at this as well. A big move here. A little bit of a mess here. Zanini's in the midst of all this in 4th place.
Yeah, so still double wave yellows down at turn 3. That didn't stop Zanini having a little look down the inside, but he's got the run now on the inside down towards turn 5. So suddenly Bozzoni is coming under massive amounts of pressure. He's lost 2 places in 1 corner now. Zabini goes wide, and now the Q1 track car goes through. Prisbilac goes through into 3rd place.
Brilliant move from Zander Prisbilac, the ultimate opportunist, heading through Tora Vip corner. But now he's under still convincing pressure as Bozzoni loses out the places that were given to him, obviously, by Fernando Navarrete. The safety car out on track here with just under 11 minutes to go. Well, I tell you what, there was a major cluster. We're not quite sure what might have caused it.
Yeah, I think there's still a car parked down at turn 3, and it is the 67 that we saw earlier, so he hasn't managed to get it going.
Yeah, Stefano Borghi, who was struggling to get it back underway, and you just see the sigh there. I think that speaks volumes, I think, in this case. Obviously, stepping into race 1, this is not what you want. And now down to currently 16th to being out of the race. A safety car out here with just over 10 minutes still to go here in the race. Jorge Cabezas in this stage still leading the way with Leonov in behind. I'll tell you what this does give us, though, a fascinating battle for the end of the race.
It certainly does. So Jorge Cabezas had a 27-second lead over Evgeny Leonov in 2nd place. That has now been eradicated, and it's going to put Leonov right on his back bumper. A little debris there in the middle of the track coming towards turn 5. And of course, Prisbilac is looking pretty feisty as well, having just taken 3rd place, as is Zanini. So, yeah, we're in for a really interesting end to this race, George.
Yeah, 9 minutes and a half still to go. There's Jorge Cabezas, who has led the majority and has looked in pretty fine fettle. And no doubt will be looking to try and hold on to it. Of course, not an ideal day at the office for Stefano Borghi, who currently sits now on the track with the safety car now out. As a result, not an ideal start to the season. Of course, we will be going racing again tomorrow after another qualifying session too. So we'll have another chance, no doubt, to try and get some points in the locker. That's for sure. What it has done, though, is allowed David Perrell to come back into the race, because, of course, he had to change that tyre. And thankfully for him, he could try and at least fight with the cars in front of him here. Of course, you've got a few cars that are still a lap down on those above. That, of course, being Indrek Jaska and not to mention Mello, as well as David Perrell, as well in the mix of all this. So it gives them a big, big chance to try and bring themselves to the forefront. Oh, goodness me, a 5-second time penalty to be added to car 80, Jorge Cabezas, and this is due to the handicap not being served correctly during the pit stop phase. So drama now as Leonov has a great chance to effectively take the race win off the back of this time penalty being issued to Jorge Cabezas. Well, drama here at the end of this race. 8 minutes still to go. You thought it was all over? It definitely isn't now. Of course, you've got Xander Przybyłak, who's got a great start. Well, he's got the opportunity to get a big start under his belt under the safety car. Obviously, as the cars bunch together,
you have to catch up to the safety car.
We're hearing the team radio, certainly needs to catch up with the safety car. Lots of them, obviously, talking with their drivers, trying to enlist the messages to the drivers. Cabezas still leads the way, though, with Leonov in behind. There's a big, obviously, big issue there on the hands of Merkel Motorsport. Cabezas, who has been leading this race now for quite a considerable amount of time, and now he's going to be facing distinctive pressure, given the fact that he's going to have Leonov on his back, and not only that, a 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time when we end this race. As we now see the safety car taking us down through towards turn 1, and the Primera Benz will be the first on their list. We've just hit the 7-minute mark now as well. Przybyłak in 3rd, Zanini in 4th as well. Also not forgetting Stefano Bozzoni, sorry, who's currently sat in 5th place with Alexandre Boschez, who took over from Michael Boschez in the other Ferrari. Fabio Bonini, who's been absolutely thrilling to watch, obviously since he stepped into the car, has made several overtakes, and will surely be looking to bring home some big points as well for his team. But all the deltas now being reduced more and more, and Cabezas now is going to be under a lot of pressure from the man behind him, Leonov, who I'm not sure whether he knows this yet, as the safety car is coming in this lap, so we will be going racing for the final 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Of course, that'll very soon dip into the 5 minutes, and we will be watching no less Cabezas as he tries to hold on to his race advantage. Will need to at least advance 5 seconds if he wants to hold on to the race win here. And, as they deep down and then head out of turn 12 through towards turn 13, and it'll be all on Jorge Cabezas to take them round the final couple of corners, as the safety car will be coming in. Leonov, after managing to accrue 3 places from where he started, 7 places gained for Xander Przybyłak. An absolutely enthralling race that has delivered action, not to mention drama, as we're now seeing at this point as well, as now Cabezas slows up the pack. Just behind him, there's Leonov, who's just getting ready. Is he going to pounce into turn 1? Is he going to take the opportunity that he's waiting for? Przybyłak still in 3rd as well. Zanini, he might be able to get himself on the mix, or in the mix for a podium. He's on Przybyłak currently for that win, as now the safety car, after coming in now, it's all on Cabezas, as now we go racing for the final 5 minutes, and it will be pedal to the metal, and certainly for the second time here at Portimao, the green flag waves. Cabezas now takes them through towards turn 1. Leonov in 2nd, Przybyłak in 3rd, Zanini in 4th as well. Further back, we got battles further down, as now we see the 2 Porsches come together, 3 wide in the midfield as well, as we're seeing Zanini now trying to hold on to 3rd place. He certainly does. 52 as well in behind as well. Xander Przybyłak losing out in all this, as he now has another look down the inside. Incredible now as they went round turn 3. Very soon turn 4 as well, and a Ferrari as well, of Boschez also in the mix, but Zanini pulling off the vital move that could grant him a podium come the end of this race. But it's not over yet, because back comes Przybyłak now. Inside line contact as they make their way through. Boschez as well trying to find his way through. He's trying to squeeze out of Torovip. Can't find it. Przybyłak back into 3rd place. Wow. Incredible fight between those two as they made their way out of Sector 2. Sector 3 coming up shortly as well. What a sensational overtake by Xander Przybyłak. Zanini now down into 4th, now chasing that of Xander as he makes his way down the hill in behind as well. Not forgetting, we've also got Boschez, who is now 3/10 back on Babini, who has managed to swamp and take that 6th place away. An absolutely immeasurable fight, obviously over the final podium place. Babini now has overtaken Bozzoni and confirmed 5th place in this classification. As now we see the Ferrari come together now as well, looking to try and then lap himself here, David Perel. course, he is a lap down in 13th place, trying to get himself further and further up the field. But naturally, saying no is Stefano Zanini, because he knows that he's still got a fight on his hands against Sander Prisbilak, who's on for the AM win. But not only that, to take a podium overall as well, as we're seeing the cars make their way through still. We've got Leonov, who's obviously further up the road, nowhere near this leading bunch. We've got cars that are effectively part of the back market through the ST1 Racing as well in the mix. And that is, of course, the 77 belonging to Jaska, who's now got David Perel alongside him. Now, this is a battle for position as well. And Perel up into 12th as well, executing through turns 1 and 2 and turns 3. This is the pace that we can expect from him, certainly in the Ferrari, and he will be thrilled with that, obviously, to at least make some ground at the end of what has been a difficult race for him and his teammate, too, after that puncture. And we have a replay here, a slowdown replay. God, that was so lucky. Solieri off the circuit edge, turning into a spin, heading through towards turn 13. And unfortunately, that's placed him at somewhat of a disadvantage at this stage, as we now see Evgeny Leonov in second place, as Castillo overtakes Bochez for that 7th. Cabezas, though, has driven superbly, but at the cost of 5 seconds. It could be Evgeny Leonov who will take victory at this point. By that same token as well, I mean, Cabezas, the one thing, well, certainly the one element he's got going for him at this point is the fact that he is essentially larger than 5 seconds ahead of Sander Prisbilak in 3rd place, so he will at least hold on to P2 should the gaps remain like this. But he is advancing the time on Leonov here. So a chance for Jorge Cabezas, but he's going to need to really put his foot down. And we'll have to wait and see whether he can do exactly that. Evgeny Leonov further down. Look at this. Wow, 3 wide there as they make their way through the latter sector. An incredible fight. And that, of course, is Bozzoni there with other cars further down. There's the 69 car of Bochez and many others as well. This was the fight, obviously. We saw Castillo as well in the mix of all this chaos as well in the midfield as they all fight it out. As now Marreiros looks to make his way through the order. Of course, at the expense of Kamil Perrion, who as well is in the mix. There's 3 cars essentially in the fight: Bochez, Perrion and Marreiros, who is currently down in P10, but of course that has certainly spilled up there a little bit through that final sector. As now we're on the final lap of the race, and Jorge Cabezas, after what has to be an absolutely exquisite drive in terms of his performance, as he overtakes yet another back marker, of course trying to do everything he can in order to advance the delta between him and Evgeny Leonov. But on the final lap, there's going to be an almighty ask to pull something like that off. Another move down the inside as well. That is, of course, the car of Berbini, now making its way up into 4th place. Obviously ahead there of Castillo, and Castillo ahead of Zanini as well, who's down into 6th. So lots of points being filled about here. Marreiros 7th, Bozzoni in 8th. Zanini now down to 9th as well. And it's been a difficult race, certainly for Zanini, as soon as he stepped in, but surely he'll bounce back. But nevertheless, on the final lap, it has been an absolute sensation. Jorge Cabezas with the current lead, and you can look at the gap here, folks, 2 seconds, and it's not going to be enough to allow Cabezas to hold on to the lead of this race. Leonov will surely, if he can hold on to the delta, come across the line and take the victory, but he's still got to get to that point here in this race. A little twitch, oh no! No! That's Leonov! Leonov's round! Drama here on the final lap! And surely, off the face of it, it looked like a certainty. The win has been stolen from him in a sense that he has spun the car. It's Jorge Cabezas who will certainly take victory here at Portimao in round 1 of the GT Cup Open. Absolutely incredible! Across the line as well, Sander Prisbilak side by side as they make their way through. Of course, that's not a car in position, that is David Perel, but a dramatic turnaround, to say the least. Jorge Cabezas has taken the win here for Mertel Motorsport. Who'd have thought on the final lap, Sander Prisbilak taking 2nd as well. Heartbreak for Evgeny Leonov, spinning on the final lap, heading through the final sector. It doesn't get more dramatic than that. He was on for the race win, and oh dearie me, that is car number 21. That's Kamil Perrion, who is certainly not going to cross the line by the looks of it. He is stagnant out on the circuit. Heartbreak. And you just see what it means to the team. Real disappointment, I think, felt throughout the entirety of the team, nonetheless. Obviously, ZRS Motorsport are going to be looking to come back from this, but how about this for Jorge Cabezas, stepping in alongside Ivan Velasco. Oh, and that's a big crash. Oh, wow, very well avoided. That, of course, being car 21 of Camel Perrion. And this was the major moment. On for the win. It's been taken away. Evgeny Leonov spinning, heading through the final corners, coming out of turn 14 as well, before hitting Galp Curve. Sagre corner, claiming a victim here, taking a victory away, no less from ZRS Motorsport, who will be, no doubt, disappointed with that. But nevertheless, a fantastic result going by the way of Jorge Cabezas, and also the Merkel Motorsport team entering here. Ferrari for the very first time racing here in the GT Cup Open, and they've taken their first win as well in their very first race. An absolutely astounding start to this championship, and will serve, no doubt, as a precursor. You know, I'm sure they'll hope for greater things still to come. A massive well done to Jorge Cabezas, and the silver Ferrari will make its way around the circuit, certainly bringing it home eventually as well. But what drama, folks at home. I tell you what, did you have that moment ingrained in your membrane? I tell you what, I certainly did not. After the safety car, we did expect some drama, obviously, with the cars coming together. We did then see that Jorge Cabezas would suffer that 5-second penalty that would essentially, you would have thought in that moment, that would have taken the ultimate victory away from him. He has now since got it back. What an astounding performance. An astounding race. What a story. I tell you what, if you had your cameras, you couldn't make a bigger soap opera than that. That was absolutely enthralling. And we have the results here as well. Confirmation of it will be Velasco and Cabezas on top. Merkel Motorsport P1 here at Portimao. Xander Prisbilak and Van der Velde in second. Scanicio and Babini. Babini fighting back really hard, claiming a podium as well, and takes P3. Incidentally, Van der Velde and Prisbilak, your AM race winners as well. Pisani Zanini in fourth. Evgeny Leonov after the spin down to fifth. Castillo and Van Dierendonk in sixth. Bosches, the two Bosches family members, in seventh. And then further down we had Pedro Mariros, not to mention Stefano Bazzoni finishing in ninth. Camel Perrion obviously was in 10th after spinning. Of course, he had an issue after hitting the wall. Glauco Solieri as well further down, but incredible results here. An amazing ending to that race. You could not have written it. There's Xander Prisbilak, no doubt, very pleased with the result. Celebrating with Laurent van der Velde, the Belgian, who no doubt will be pleased. There's Nicolas van Dierendonk going over to say congratulations. But goodness me, there's ZRS Motorsport, no less disappointed, I would have thought. Evgeny Leonov, who had every chance of making a big move. This was the moment of contention, the spin heading through turn 13. And that certainly did not help proceedings. You just see the shock on their face as well. Oh, don't half feel for them. But this was the man who would go on to take victory, Jorge Cabezas, much to the delight of Merkel Motorsport Ferrari. They've started in the perfect manner after a promising qualifying session, and they've just taken victory as well. And a wave to the crowds here as well at Portimao, which is great to see. All smiles there in the paddock and in Parc Fermé as well. Amazing race. But we got plenty more of this to come, because don't forget, we will be qualifying tomorrow as well, and race 2 just around the corner. So plenty more to come. Incidentally, as well, I alluded to the fact that Xander Prisbilak getting himself off to the best start as well by taking the AM victory on this occasion. So important and integral points, no doubt, to their championship charge. And overall, taking a second place is no mean feat whatsoever. But amazing. And Fabio Babini, we look back on his performance, the amount of overtakes he had to make to charge his way up the field, both him and Davide Scanicio, who had a difficult start, but managing to rein it back in, as we now see Carna Barati, after doing its victory lap around the circuit. Ivan Velasco and no less Jorge Cabezas are going to be absolutely thrilled with the performance, and you can bet your bottom dollar there will be some celebrations as he pulls his way into his P1 spot. The clapping erupts. The cheers around Parc Fermé. as Myrtle Motorsport claim their first win here this season. First win for Ferrari in GT Cup Open. And already you can just see them going over to celebrate. Ivan Velasco greeting his teammate Jorge Cabezas. There we go, the celebrations there amongst Myrtle Motorsport. Mario, the team boss, will be happy. And no doubt will be celebrating with his drivers after an outstanding start to this championship. Oh, there you go. And, also great to see a great moment between Fernando Navarrete there, who we just saw earlier on. Of course, also had extremely decent pace around this track. Remember the advantage that he laid out. Obviously, there was some confusion around the pit stop. But you'll have to remove his helmet shortly, because obviously we will be having an interview with Alfredo Filipponi coming up shortly. No doubt remonstrating over the conditions out there on track. Obviously, it was very busy out there. A lot of cars to deal with. Obviously, positions being made left, right, and centre. Challenges around every corner. That is Portimao. It offers a very special challenge. Great to have it here as well in the GT Cup Open Championship. As he now walks across, no doubt. But what a race! Action-packed, drama-filled. It's Scanicio and Babini who finish in third place in the Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car. Of course, they were met with Xander Prisbilak, the AM driver that takes the AM win, and also the overall P2, Xander Prisbilak and Laurent van der Velde. But after dramatic and incredible scenes on the final lap, it's Jorge Cabezas who takes victory alongside Ivan Velasco, Myrtle Motorsport's first win, and Ferrari as well. And they're with Alfredo Filipponi.
Jorge Cabezas, Ivan Velasco, winners of the first race of the season in the GT Cup. Quite a lively race and a surprise at the end.
Yeah, at the end with the safety car, it was so hard because I have a penalty and I must to push the last 3 or 4 laps without tires. It was very difficult at the end of the race, but finally we have done.
And the car is going very well.
The car is very, very, very fast.
Good. Well done, guys. All the best.
The car is very, very fast indeed, and what a battle it was right towards the end. Here come the highlights. It was an action-packed start, obviously, after cars came together, heading down towards turn 1, no less. It was certainly a mix-up with that of car number 44. Obviously, Eugenio Pisani taking the early lead, but there was a squabble. Obviously, Fernando Navarrete trying to get himself into the mix. The 2 Ferrari challenge cars trying to get themselves into the fight, obviously for the top end. Of course, they were undone. Of course, plenty of other battles further down as well. Nicholas van Dierendonk also. But there was the EST1 car running off wide and suffering at that expense, Yori Alayaira. There we saw a wide car as well going off, and it led to a spin, no less, with more cars there coming undone under tour a bit. We then saw a little bit more action-packed drama, of course. When Pisani came in, there were some changes, and naturally, teams came under convincing pressure. Q1 Track Racing under the helm of the Bosch S crew, obviously driving the Kessel Racing Ferrari. Then this was the driver change, obviously quite late on for for Navarrete, who then swapped out for Bozzoni. A spin then as well for Nicholas van Dierendonk and Fidel Castillo. As we then saw in the closing stages, it was all on Bozzoni then, who ran in place of Navarrete. And then we saw another incident involving that of car 67 as well, that being, of course, Stefano Borghi. But then an incredible start then as well, heading down through towards turn 1. We did, of course, see car number 44 coming under convincing pressure, that, of course, being Zanini, who was also in the mix. It was quite a dramatic ending stint to the race when it came at a climax with this moment that led to a spin for Evgeny Leonov that eventually cost him the win, and it was Jorge Cabezas who crossed the line to take the eventual victory, and the first victory for Myrtle Motorsport Ferrari. And now we're about to obviously have the podium celebrations here for the first time this season in the GT Cup Europe. And it's great to certainly have it here as well, under the helm of the GT Sport organisation that has been running now for 25 years, the anniversary year for the organisation. And CEO Jesus Pereira will no doubt be on hand to present trophies as well. And, great to see the teams all out in the forefront as we also celebrate the wonderful results here. The likes of Fabio Babini as well. Been very pleased. And we got Xander Prisbilak as well, and Laurent van der Velde stepping up into second as well, also taking the AM win as well, which is a great start to their championship. And it'll certainly give them a great opportunity to score more in the future. And Jorge Cabezas steps up after that vibrant final lap, which will certainly give him the race win alongside Ivan Velasco. And the Murtal Motorsport team will be celebrating their first win this season in the opening round. There's Mario on the bottom left as well. And we'll hear the national anthem. Well, there we have it, an incredible moment indeed for Murtal Motorsport. Jorge Cabezas taking the win, and we're going to have the trophy presentation now as well. An absolutely stunning performance, and as the presentation is now delivered, obviously P3 going to Fabio Babini and Davide Scanicchio, and then second place going to Xander Prisbilak and Laurent van der Velde. And eventually we'll also have the trophies for our first place positions as well. But first of all, there we are, round of applause.
And for the first position.
In second as well. Next up is of course our race winners, that being Jorge Cabezas and Ivan Velasco. Murtal Motorsport, after a stunning first performance here in the GT Cup Open, the first time we've seen a Ferrari on top here in the GT Cup Open Championship. And they will celebrate, I'm sure, but they can't celebrate for too long. They've got another one to go tomorrow. There's Mario celebrating on behalf of the team. And they'll have the champagne very shortly as well, posing for pictures. But everybody, it's been a pleasure bringing you all the action here today for the GT Cup Open. We'll be back tomorrow for qualifying 2 in the morning. And don't miss it when we go racing again in the afternoon. Take care.